not the same.
So
and it isn't a theory, it's actually data driven by tens of thousands of surveys and the best scientific literature on the topic. It's not a theory, and I didn't come about it because of my political perspective. I looked at the data. What it showed was that as countries become more egalitarian, the differences between men and women grow. They don't shrink.
Welcome back guys to Manlord Reacts, and in this video we'll be reacting to an interview, or should I say rather a discussion that took place quite some years ago. But wait, the relevancy of the interview or discussion is far more now than it was before. So I hope you will enjoy it. Let's start from now.
What do you understand by equality, Sophie? What does it mean to you?
Freedom.
Can you be more, is it equality of opportunity? Is it equal pay across the board? Is it something more than that?
I think equality is better for everyone. I think,
okay.
you know, I'm really delighted, you know, I love my job because it's an optimistic and a hopeful job, which is about creating more choices for people. I'm interested in people being able to have different choices and having equality of outcome.
Aha, well, so you're going to have choices and equality of outcome. What if people choose different things, which is what they've been doing in Scandinavia? So the Scandinavian countries have moved more towards gender equality than any other countries, and the personality differences in Scandinavia have increased rather than decreased, and the proportion of women who are choosing STEM fields has decreased rather than increased. So as cultures become more gender neutral, the number of women who choose STEM fields decreases.
What do you mean by
increasing.
STEM fields?
So science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So if you let men and women make their choices, what actually happens is that they specialize in different situations, and you don't get equality of outcome.
Could they not have been programmed to have those views from the moment we raise them and give boys Lego and construction?
No, because what happens is that as countries get more egalitarian, which means there's less programming of that sort, the differences get larger, not smaller. And the scientific data on that is clear, and most of it was generated by people who have a left-leaning bias, so you can't blame it on conservative scientists. It was a shock to everyone to find that out.
Sophie,
I think the difference between Jordan and me is that we look at evidence and we lean towards different theories. So Jordan's theory is very much evolutionary, you know, that there are inherent differences in men and women. Mine is very much more social role theory, if you like, and that men and women are taking on different roles due to the expectations that society puts on them. And it's interesting that Jordan frequently cites Scandinavian countries where they've made more, like there's nowhere in the world that women are equal, but Scandinavia has made the most progress towards shared parenting, etc.
Yep.
That said, it's not done yet. There's nowhere in the world where this is done yet.
But it's having the opposite effect that the gender equality types predicted. Opposite, not the same. And it isn't a theory, it's actually data driven by tens of thousands of surveys and the best scientific literature on the topic. It's not a theory, and I didn't come about it because of my political perspective. I looked at the data. What it showed was that as countries become more egalitarian, the differences between men and women grow. They don't shrink.
Now, wait a minute here guys. No matter the age, there's a lesson to learn from this particular clip. Now you see, these two people, Jordan Peterson and this woman, they are getting paid to speak on the show on these specific topics. Now there's a reason for it. People demand to watch and people like to watch on these topics, you know, shows. The problem here is that when you accept a job, right, to speak on a topic on a particular show, you should also do the job, not just take the money and say nothing. This woman, I don't know how much she was paid. I don't know if she was actually paid, but I think most of the time they are paid. So took the money and she didn't really come up with things. She took some articles and, you know, brought some of them and in the conversation and was like, yeah, women get paid less. But she didn't really recite some data or research or study or something that proves her point. Saying something does not make it true. Just like that, on the other hand, Dr. Jordan Peterson did really have recited data and had studies. You don't have to have it on in the mind, you know, like, oh, it's all in my mind, I'm going to say it. No, you can have papers and you can read it from there. But if you're getting paid to do something, you should do the job correctly. And it's not even like she didn't do it correctly. She just didn't, I don't even think she was excited to do it. She just from the start was trying to just make a point that women are not getting paid because they are women, and which is totally not true. And especially not in those Scandinavian countries. It's more equality, right? More egalitarian society. To be honest, it's because of the biological differences and yeah, definitely some part of the societal structure. But again, blaming men for everything is not a good idea. Moving back to the video.
So what I'm interested in is data and analysis as well, and I'm particularly interested in the ones presented, such as the ones by the University of Southern California, which discovered that change towards gender equality is actually being slowed by beliefs that are legitimizing social inequalities on the basis of sex. And I'm also interested, I mean, like Jordan, I look at the data and I look at the studies, and I'm really also very much interested in studies like the analysis that was done by the American Psychological Society, which looked at 45 analysis of whether there's sex difference over 20 years. And its conclusion was that men and women are basically alike in terms of personality, in terms of cognitive ability, in terms of leadership. But what it did find was that media depictions of men and women as fundamentally different perpetuate misconceptions, as does workplace bias.
Oh God, so it's my fault.
So, no, well, you know, you're leaving soon. It's okay.
Men and women actually are more the same than they are different. But the issue is that small differences at the population level can turn into very large differences at the extreme. So, for example, men and women are broadly similar with regards to aggression, although men tilt a little bit more towards aggression. So that if you picked a random person out of the population, male and female, and you guessed that the male was more aggressive, you'd be right 60% of the time. But if you take the 1 in 100 most aggressive people, they're all male. And that's why the overwhelming proportion of people who are in prisons are male. Now, do you want to equalize that, just out of curiosity? What about bricklayers? They're 99% male. And we've got about 3/4 of the population now in universities, in the humanities and social sciences, are female.
Yeah.
Are we going to equalize that? And men work longer hours. They work more dangerous jobs. They're more likely to move. They're more likely to work outside. They're more likely to participate in jobs in the STEM fields that are scalable. They make more money for those reasons. And that's all hidden under the idea that the reason that men and women make different amounts of money is because of their gender. It's a very simplistic analysis, and trying to
Michael,
address
I was just going to say, Sophie, can you come back on that?
What I'm trying to equalise is opportunity and choice.
Fine,
And
let's
I- and-
equalise
and I-
choice.
You agree-
and I think-
you
and I
agree on
think
that.
But we won't get equal outcome that way.
And I think that what happens then, nobody knows, because we've never done it yet.
We do know.
But
We
I
know
think
what's happened in
it
Scandinavia.
But it's not
Scandinavia's
fully
not
got there yet.
finished
No, but it's going in the opposite direction that everyone predicted, and
You know,
strongly.
I think one of the things I loved about Jordan's book, which I speed read last night, so forgive me, Jordan, I've not read every line. But one of my favourite rules in Jordan's book is Rule 9, which says, assume the person you are listening to might know something you don't. And I think that in a country where men outnumber women by 2 to 1 in Parliament, in local government, where women's voices are not equally represented in media, where our education systems still are teaching boys and girls ideas of pink and blue. What I'm trying to do is work with thousands of optimistic, hopeful people for change.
Okay. You kept very quiet through this, Michael. I'm going to make you put you under a bit of pressure. Do forgive me. I'm going to come to the calls in a moment. Your boss called the gender pay gap a burning injustice. Is it?
Yes, it is, because there should be inequality of opportunity. There needs to be the same rights. But you know, something that surprised
outcome,
me,
quality of
that
outcome.
neither of you, and the quality of outcome, sure, all of that. But the one thing both of you haven't mentioned is the biological difference, which unfortunately affects women's career prospects, whether we like
Babies
it or
as
not.
well, yeah.
Babies. And that does cause a problem. You know, if I were to take a sabbatical from a corporation for a while, it's going to set me back slightly. And it is a problem that biologically it's women who have babies, not men.
Sure, but that's why we are the Women's Equality Party is the only party in the UK that's got policies around shared parental leave.
She's so political.
We're the only party that has got fully costed plans for universal free childcare. One of the other things we want to do is to have a look at curriculums, to have more female role models, to encourage girls, because so long as we still see STEM as a boys' area that we're trying to get girls into, it's not going to work. We need to do what we're doing on care, get more boys thinking about, nursing, teaching, more role models for boys in schools.
And
that's the way you break
gains
it all
on
down.
programmes like EastEnders, The Archers, that's helped them a lot.
Right, so...
Right, that's the part where you like just why? if you see in a normal country where there is no, agenda or something, where they're not trying to make it look as you are bad for choosing what you want to choose, or bad, like, so let's say for a woman, I'm not trying to become, say, or something like stereotypical, but let's say a woman likes cooking and she take cooking classes and all those things, right? She wants to become a chef. What's the problem in that? Why do you have to promote, STEM fields for women? You don't have to force or manipulate the kids into believing something that they don't want to do. Where's the free choice? And then they say that this is the right thing to do. This is what egalitarian society is. I don't know, man. They're just it's too much, complicated. Well, that was my opinion on the video. And if it offends you somehow, I don't know how, but if it does, I'm sorry for it. And that was it for the video. I'll see you in the next one. Till then, take care everyone, and bye-bye.